Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's guest, but first, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an AD. They're all great companies. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. Um, they're a great way to also share your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents loved all the tools that Huddle provided. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and schedule a live demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic clearance and eligibility platform alone is worth the price. Go to Home Campus. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Their team is going to have you creating world-class content in seconds, whether it's a social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter sharing all the great things your program does. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and while he was earning it, he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA for more information. The Ohio University Masters in Athletic Administration. We want to thank our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown's changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. Whether you're an AD, a coach, or a school, Hometown makes it easier to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometown.com. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for everything, kids, coaches, parents. And here's the cool thing. Almost all the feedback was positive, but it also allowed us to hear from those squeaky wheel parents and address those issues. But the important thing was that positive feedback. That's incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your school. That's athleticsurveys.com. Make sure you mention the podcast, athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Chicago today, and our guest is Kelsi Frank. Kelsi's a registered athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics at Senn High School. That's Senn. That's in Chicago. Has a great background in athletics, and we're excited to have her on the program. Kelsi, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you so much. I've watched your podcast in the past. It's been amazing. I'm so glad to be part of this whole
So
group.
you're the one that's been watching. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Um, Kelsey and I were talking before. We're recording this in early February, so it's going to be pretty timely when you listen to it. Kelsey, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio, where you were born, where you grew up. Like we say, tell us your life story in 2 minutes. Maybe take us up through your high school and college days, and then we'll take a break. But what's the Kelsey Frank origin story?
Well, Kelsi Frank origins come from Central Illinois. I'm from Springfield, Illinois, born and raised there. It's a good old time down there, 100,000 people, the capital of Illinois as well, not Chicago. So the people know that. Um, I went to Sacred Heart Griffin High School, which is a private school down there, very well known for their athletics, a great athletic program as well. And their athletic director, as we call him, Cowboy Ken Leonard, would always go out there, promote us all the time. And I love how he was so excited for not just his football, but his other athletics as well. I was a three-sport athlete: cross country, track, and basketball. And I went Division I track and cross country and at Northern Illinois University in DeKalb. So I was a Husky. Go Huskies back in the day, in 2010. So from 2010 to 2012, I was there. Had a very devastating injury that caused me to have to retire from the NCAA. And now I just went to IUPUI, finished up with my undergrad degree there, and that's where my whole coaching and athletic directing career kind of started, from that injury impact that made me want to become this person I am today. So,
Boy, I'm always fascinated by the journey. I want to hear more about, both your high school and college experience, but let's go back before that. Growing up, what was the neighborhood like? I always tell
oh,
the story. We had the biggest backyard on the block, and so everybody was always in our backyard, in our driveway, that sort of thing. What was your pre-high school experience like?
well, my pre-high school, I grew up in a cornfield called Williamsville, Illinois, a little country suburb of Springfield. So it was a lot of dirt bikes, four-wheelers, cows, horses, fun stuff like that, corn. I used to actually have a horse, actually two horses back in the day. I thought I was gonna be an equestrian rider. My grandma thought it would be great for me to be one of those. It'd be fun. Never came about that because I had severe allergies. So we just started sticking with sports. So we did that. My first love in sports was basketball. So my growing up career was travel basketball. My mom and dad spent many hours, money on me to travel for my AU basketball team. And I fell in love with it at a young age. So my career and my like growing up time was out in my front yard, on my sidewalk, on my driveway, shooting hoops for hours on end. That's it. So, and my friends and all the guys on the street would try to do one-on-one, but out here, I was out there teaching them some skills here and there. So it was good. That was my grown up career around the corn and playing basketball. Like, Larry Bird, corn and basketball, right?
Oh,
Corn and basketball.
I want to see some pictures of that. You're gonna have to
Oh,
send me
yeah.
some
I
pictures.
was the same height I am today. In fifth grade, I'm 5'5". I'm still 5'5" today.
Oh,
Same look.
okay.
Yeah.
So during those games, was there ever a running commentary? Kelsey gets the pass, she dribbles in the corner, she shoots, she scores.
Yes, there was. There were so many people doing that for me. My dad was my number one fan on that one. He would do that, and he was my coach as well, running commentary and coaching. So there was a lot going on in that book for him. So doing that as well. Yeah, we won to like actually a national title as well when I was in my younger ages in eighth grade. Yes, yes, it was good. Younger, a national title. It was wonderful. I would never forget that. And that's really sprung my career. Like, I want to be an athlete. This is what I want to do. This is my career, athletics, and how I'm going to get there in college. That really sprung the love of the win of the game, the feeling, the high, like people appreciating it, how it brought so much more community to the school as well. Like, people looked at me as like a staple of the community. So that really brought me to like bring in the athletics more and have me do another sport and do well there, have another sport and do well there. So
No, let's go and follow up on that point. I mean, um, as all the ADs listening, when you said I was a three-sport athlete, they're just going, yes, promoting three sports.
yeah.
Um, it's I'm going to say it's not that common to have someone who grew up in AU basketball and then played high school basketball to end up as a D1 cross country distance runner.
Yeah.
How did
Yes.
all that come to play?
Well, I didn't grow, like I said, since fifth grade after that. I was, yeah.
There you go.
So that's where we go. So my doctor said, I remember this doctor's appointment. My dad was like, "Oh, is she gonna grow?" She hit a growth spurt early. I was 5'5", 5'4" in fifth grade. Wingspan of a 5'10" girl, hands that can palm a ball. And like, oh yeah, she'll grow a bit more and stopped. And so that I went from the point, like from to the five to the four, the three position two, and then I found my calling more in track and cross country. My times were excelling faster. And I realized I could get more scholarships in cross country and track than I would basketball, being a 5'5" shooting guard. Let's say
Right.
that. So, so I really switched my career and I made a hard decision to really focus on the cross country and the track aspect of my high school career, and it worked out for me perfectly.
Oh, yeah, I think it did. Now, I am much older than you. When I was in high school 100 years ago, that was the thing. Everybody did at least two and usually three sports. I was, football, basketball, and track. Um, when you were in high school, was there any tug of war with your high school coaches? Oh, you shouldn't be running track. You should be focused on basketball year round. Was that a thing for you?
Actually, my coaches all communicated very well. And that's what made my high school experience more positive in that sense. They knew, my basketball coach knew when cross country season ended, I would come into basketball and I would try out and come on the team. They all communicated very well who I was. And they did it with not just me, but a few other girls as well and other athletes. They knew were multiple sport athletes. They worked with them and they're all very honest and communicated with one another. And that was a huge key and factor for them to get the best athletes from all the sports all around. So I think that was a very positive experience. And then I think I kind of incorporate that now as an athletic director, how coaches communicate per season with one another if an athlete is doing multiple sports, as I see here at Senn High School. So I kind of instill the communications, a huge key part of making this department work.
Mhm. Oh no, absolutely. And it's a great
Yeah.
lesson for all of us about the value of communication, collaboration,
Yes.
coordinating between the sports and putting the student athlete first, not just thinking about, oh, I need this for my team.
Yes.
Um, let's talk briefly, and then we're going to take a break, about your recruiting experience. Why Northern Illinois? I mean, right now, every Northern Illinois graduate in America is saying, we beat Notre Dame. But
Right.
how did
Right.
how did that happen for you? What was the recruiting process like?
My recruiting process was very different. I know I had like a web page for my own like biopic and stuff like that. Being a non-revenue sport athlete, being a cross country and track, being a non-revenue sport like football, basketball, volleyball, it was more difficult to get put out there. But my recruiting experience, I had coaches reach out to me from from Wofford University to we had some in Augusta, and then I had North Illinois. What really chose for me was my career being a female athlete in a non-revenue sport, I knew in the long run, my career was my main goal, my choice. Because someday athletics weren't going to be the end all be all for me unless I was a Olympic sprinter. And I knew I was fast, but I wasn't that fast. And so I decided to really focus on my career and becoming a actual PE teacher and a health teacher and become a coach. That's where my goals were set. And Northern Illinois has a great teaching education and physical education programming. So that's
Boy,
why I picked school.
I mean, that's so great to hear about that self-awareness. Yeah, I'm going to college. I'm going to be an athlete, but I'm also, I'm looking beyond that. For me, I just knew I didn't want to work for a living, and so I went to college. Oh, I can keep playing sports. I can keep playing football. Great. And then,
Right.
well, okay, I'm not going to make pro. Oh, you mean I can coach? Well, you have to teach too. Okay, I guess I'll teach.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
so. No.
My dad made me very aware of that. My mom and dad really made me aware of that situation. So I really took heart to that conversation we had with them, a real adult conversation as an 18-year-old girl, noticing those factors, and I really instilled in me. So
Oh, I love it. I love to hear it. Let's go and take our first break. For listeners, our guest today is Kelsi Frank. She's the director of athletics at Senn High School, Chicago area. We're coming back with more, so please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record board for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. Whether it's a floor model or a wall mount, you put one of these in your gym lobby, it's going to be a magnet for kids, for parents, for alums, you need to go to the website, vitalsignswalloffame.com. Make sure you mention the podcast and check out their great products, vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our coaches love the videos, our kids love the highlights, our parents love the streaming, but there is so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school.
Hi, Jake. So, you just did a huddle promotion, correct? Like, our school definitely uses that. So, when I came in here, all my basketball coaches and football coaches use that for their kids and definitely for game day highlights. And I love the huddle for
Well,
sure.
that's so great to hear. Thanks so much for sharing. And you already had it in place. You know, you didn't have to introduce it. So, what do you hear from those coaches as far as because here a lot of coaches, a lot of ads, they're resistant to technology and change, and it's too hard. What do your coaches say about how easy it is to use the Huddle platform?
Honestly, being an athletic director here now, I actually being a actually younger athletic director, social media is not that hard for our school to be using. And I actually promote more social media and technology into our kids' programming. And Huddle has that the kids, they actually have breakdown film days for our kids. Like, so one day of the week, they break down the film with Huddle and they break down how the kids can break down their own app, see their performance, moving here and there. And our coaches love it. I mean, honestly, I would never go back. I had in my other school district as well. So for the middle school kids, actually, we had Huddle. So I used that there and I implemented there. Now here they're using it. I was like, oh, great. So these coaches are all using it and I'm trying to get it more for our swim group. I know they're working on swimming, adding a Huddle on that as well. So
Oh wow, that'd be great. I don't know if I'm sure it's out there, but I
it's
haven't
out
heard
there.
of
I know. I
using
want
it
them to
for
use it
swimming.
for their
Yeah.
meets and stuff.
Right.
For sure.
Well, thanks again for sharing that. For our listeners, again, our guest today is Kelsi Frank. She's a registered athletic administrator, soon to be a certified athletic administrator. We'll talk about that later. Kelsi, you mentioned your recruiting process. Ended up at Northern Illinois.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about that running career. I know you mentioned the injury, but pre-injury, what were some of your experiences from your days at Northern Illinois?
Well, those couple years I had, it was wonderful. I could never trade that for the world. And I honestly, when I tell my kids here, like being an athlete, not D1, not just D1, D2, D3, or NAIA, JUCO, you have a group already there for you when you meet them. Because most college kids, when you go to college, you have to meet new people that like fear the unknown, if you're gonna make new friends, all that fun stuff. But when you become an athlete, you already have that family connected with you, not just in your group of athletics, but all the athletic groups of my football friends. I have a lot of buddies in the NFL now, have a UFC fighter friend who was my next door neighbor in the dorm. So like you have that community, then you become when you get older, become an adult, like you're still all connected, like because you're bounded by that bond you had when you went and became an athlete in college. So it was really cool. I would never change that for the world. Even though I had an injury, I still had connections with that school. So
Oh, and I
that was
guess
fun.
that's the important thing. You already alluded to, your athletic career is only a short time of your life, but it's those connections, those relationships that are going to be for the rest of your life that are important. Very cool. One thing we like to do on the podcast is share the journey. So you got your degree. You knew, it sounds like you knew you wanted to be a coach, you wanted to be a teacher from the get-go. What were some of those early jobs that have now led you to becoming the AD at Senn High School?
Wow. Well, I was still in college when I ended up transferring from NIU to IUPUI or UWI Pui. Now it's no longer existing. It's just an IU school and the Purdue school, as we know recently, next to the NCAA headquarters, as we know as well. When I transferred there, I was a normal student, a UK normal college student, not an athlete anymore. So that was like, as you call it, normal. I was actually started my student experience in the schools around the area. So on the west side, I was at Chapel Hill Middle School and they offered me a head coaching position as the girls and boys cross country coach. Now, it was an urban community. These kids never understood cross country. Let's say that they're more basketball group as we are in Indiana, Hoosiers. Hoosiers, yes. So they were more basketball, and I had to educate those students like, hey, you want to help our kids become a better cross country team? Like, yeah, love it. I'll do it. 22, 23 years old, giving my first coaching job. And thereon, I'm like, I love this. Those kids were great. And it wasn't the fact that if they were good, because they were not. I'm gonna be honest, they were not good. They're middle school kids. They're just trying to learn how the sport works. But the fact that if I believed in them, they believed in themselves. Knowing that I can get a group of kids who've never the skill set to do it, but if you believe in them and give them that knowledge and encouragement, they'll become better for you as a coach. And what happened was they became last. They were last in the conference for their cross country team and it ended up being fourth place in that same season because of what I instilled how to bring community and those kids become better as a group. It doesn't matter how good you are, it's how you become as a team and work together. Strategizing.
Now that's I think that's a unique or not unique. I think it's a great experience and maybe a terrifying experience too to be a head coach at such a young age. Um,
Mhm.
I use the expression about me. I was a head football coach at a small high school when I was 25, and
Yeah.
you don't know what you don't know. Certainly applied to me. Were there any I guess lessons to be learned as a young head middle school cross country coach for you?
Yeah, different personalities. I had to learn real quick. Not everyone's like me. So, so like I had to learn these kids are like middle school kids think they are high school kids prematurely and they want to talk to you like they're best friends. So I had to learn how to navigate communication with those students and still treat them as their middle school students, but also give them that autonomy of being a semi-young adult to understand how to connect with them at a different level. So I learned that very quickly, and it was a good experience for me at 23 years old. I'm not their sister or brother, I'm their actual coach because they have sister brothers the same age as me at that time. So it was kind of making sure engaging into those different roles at one time.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I think that's very common for, those first year teachers, first year coaches, even after they graduate, you were still in school,
Mhm.
that you're so close or much closer to the kids' age than you are maybe to the fellow teachers or coaches.
Yes.
Um, After graduation, what was your next stop or stops that you continued on your career path?
Yes, my next stop was on the east side of Indianapolis. So from the west side to the east side of Indianapolis, became a PE teacher at an elementary school, and I ended up getting an opportunity to work at the high school for that district. So it was Warren Central High School on the east side, big high school, about 5,000 kids. Ended up getting an opportunity to work under LaGreta Smith, who is um, a Olympic trial person, and her niece was Ashley Spencer, who's Olympic bronze medalist in Rio. So I ended up learning so much from that woman as her assistant and track and field, and she gave me the knowledge and experience how to like understand high school students as well. So I was at the elementary school and they ended up moving me up to the high school where that coaching staff was working with the kids daily, how to work with high school kids, not even closer in age to me at 25 years old and they're like 18 years old. So understanding that difference as well was a great experience and end up in that career was there for about 2 years and we won two state titles back to back in track and in cross country we made it through. I was assistant coach for the cross country team as well, made it through the state series as well for there. So it was a really cool experience as a young 25-year-old, 26-year-old winning two state team titles.
I was going to say you're really building that resume. So you're having success as a coach. Sounds like you're enjoying the experience.
Yeah.
What happened to, as I like to say, bring you over to the dark side, to the other side of the desk as an athletic director?
Actually, it wasn't the dark side. I saw the light. I realized I wanted to help more than just one group of team. You know, I wanted to help not just one sport, but all sports. Because I always said I want to start and help these girls because I knew what they came from, or these boys in track because I knew exactly what it needs to take to get to that D1 level of track. And then I realized after I got back, next stop was Chicago. We'll come up there. We'll talk about that. But came up here, and I was once again head track coach for Lane Tech High School. And then that's when I realized I want to be the athletic director because learning from my experience as a head track coach that I just don't want to help one sport. I want to help all sports become successful for a school. So
No, I love it. And of course, I'm teasing about the dark side.
yeah, the dark side. It's the
I,
light. It's
uh,
bringing the light in.
exactly. I like that. I may have to start using that.
Yeah.
Let's go and take another break. And when we come back, I want you to kind of go through that process of getting hired at Senn, because it's, you haven't been there that long, and some of the
Oh,
things that you've already done as the director of athletics. So let's take that break, but we are coming back. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thank you to Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. We use it for home games, of course, but we also use it for pep rallies, for signing ceremonies. It's tremendously versatile, and their customer service is just outstanding. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo today. We also want to say thank you to Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com. Even if your state has another platform for scheduling and results, check out Home Campus. See all the things that they can do for you. That's homecampus.com. And we'd like to thank Gipper. Your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that you create to celebrate their accomplishments and promote your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic departments. And whether it's a social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter to share all the great things that your department is doing, the Gipper team is going to have you creating world-class content in seconds. It's professional graphic design made easy. How easy? Well, it's so easy, even I can do it. That's Gipper.com. Check them out today. Gipper.com. You're going to be very glad you did.
let's go, guys.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD Podcast. Once again, our guest is Kelsi Frank. Kelsi, you just had an incredibly successful career right out of the chute, teaching, coaching. You also had a stint as, middle school AD and coordinator. And now this opportunity at Senn High School. What attracted you about that position? And also, when you came in, let's face it, you're still early in your career. You're young. How did you sell yourself to that hiring committee and convince them that Kelsi Frank was the person they needed to hire?
Well, I think honestly, I'm a person that I'm very goal oriented, and what I told him is I'm not going to come in and trailblaze the world and make my way the highway. I kind of told him like I'm a transformer leader. I'm not transactional, so I like to come in and blend their ideas and then bring my ideas, incorporate that to make a better community. And with my deep knowledge in athletics from where I came from, how I started as a child, all the way up to now where I'm at. That I think that really sold them that I could be the best potential fit for this community of 1,500 students here at Senn High School in the north side of Chicago. And the committee saw my passion for these kids and my young youthfulness, excitement of being not just another adult in the building, but another strong mentor for their views for these kids to become successful later on into adulthood. So I think expressing myself how I can mentor them not just in the on the court, but also in the classroom, becoming successful student athletes.
Um, as you were in that interview, okay, usually there's a moment where, they ask that question. What are you going to do, or what have you done, or what's a challenging experience that you've dealt with? Was there a moment for you during that interview, and what was the question, and what was your response?
Oh man, the question came from my principal, actually, the my current principal now, and she's like, "How can you promote, the school and the athletics successfully? What is it supposed to be done?" I'm like, the doorstep to any school is the athletic program. In order for your athletics And if your athletics are successful, your school will become better. People love having, if your program's successful, people want to come to your school. So if your programs are good, your kids want to come. You see all the bigger potential high schools. We see the big high schools nationally where their athletic programs are so good. Everybody wants to be part of that community group. They want to be part of that success. So I said, I know I can build your school to become a successful athletic group that will transfer over into our IB and arts program that people want to stay and come here to be part of our program of this school. And I kind of had a light bulb moment, and I felt that went really well, and I just felt the room kind of open up, and I'm like, that was it. That was it. So knowing that athletics is the doorway to any high school becoming successful and having people want to be part of it is really what opened their eyes.
Oh, great answer. And I like the turn of phrase that you use there. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Share with our listeners, what is Senn High School? What's the enrollment, the scope? Is there a focus? What have you found out in the short time that you've been the athletic director at Senn?
Yeah. Well, actually, I've known it's in Chicago Public Schools. It's one of the bigger high schools. We have 1,500 students here. We're on the north side, about a couple miles north of Wrigley Field. So the Cubs, go Cubs, go. And we are an arts and IB program school. So really, we're a neighborhood school as well, but also a magnet at the same time. So people can try out and be part of the arts program with the theater. Sorry for the bell, the theater and all that wonderful stuff. And then the IB programming for into their dual credits, because getting college credits. So it's really well known for that. And having a neighborhood school in this area that's allowing kids just in the neighborhood to come be part of this amazing program is opening more doors for these students in the neighborhood of Edgewater and Rogers Park. So I really love that's what really got me to it, like geared toward that it's not just like a strictly magnet school or strictly waitlisted school you get to take a test and be in, but also give opportunity for the students who just missed the mark and be able to be successful in the program they want to be in.
All right. Here's a question for you. We're not trying to do ambush journalism here, but
Oh, I can't
you know,
wait.
you're hired mid-year, okay?
Hmm.
And you're not a rookie, but let's face it, you're brand new to the school.
Hmm.
Um, what are some things that you did intentionally to um, equal parts? I'm here to help you coaches, but these are my words, not yours. There's a new
Yes.
sheriff in town. Okay.
Fact.
Uh,
Yes.
how did you navigate that potential minefield?
I actually, the very first day, the first week I was here, I had a meeting for all my winter sports coaches. I came in like, hi, Kelsi Frank, gave them a little background on myself. I'm not here to blow up your world. That's what I said. I'm not here to blow up your world. I'm here to observe, see where you at as a group, as a team for my winter sport athletes and coaches, and be able to build upon that. As I stated earlier, I'm a transformer leader. I don't transactions, I don't do business. I do transforming into making a better group. Now, there is some things that are negotiables and non-negotiables that we have always go through as an athletic director. And we have those little lines that we cross. But I really just set the tone as I had that first initial meeting with all my winter sport coaches and athletes. So they know who I was, what my goals were, and what my intentions are for all of them and what their potential future would be endeavors. And understanding that once again, I'm not here to, yes, I'm the new sheriff in town, but I'm not here to take over your world, but here to make sure it becomes better with successes that we have.
Wow. Great opening line. Um, you've been there now for a few months, settling into the job. It looks very nice there. Um, in the spirit of not blowing things up, but also in
Yeah.
the spirit of, hey, good is the enemy of great. What's
Yeah.
something that you've seen that they're doing a good job with it, but with some tweaks, Senn High School could really be great in this area. You have your eye
Yeah.
on anything yet? Have you shared that with your coaches at all?
I have a couple things that we need to work on, and I've started working on it slowly. Communication with not just one person, but strictly to me. Some things they talk to other people about, then I find out by third person. So always communicating with me about anything with athletics. It's always about communication, open door policy. Make sure they understand I am here for them because this is like actually the first time they had a full-time AD as well. So they're still learning as well because they had somebody who's an AD and another job as well in the school building. So I'm like a first time, full-time athletic director. I'm open here 24/7. Actually, was at 25/8, to their door to make sure they know that I'm open here to make sure they need to get what they need to get and understand that it's not a part-time job for me. It is a full-time commitment for them.
Oh, wow. I love that. Okay. We're going to do this at the end of the podcast, but if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit about coaching or being an AD, and listeners, sounds like you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that our listeners can get in touch with Kelsi Frank?
Well, I have my email is kfrank1 at cps.edu. That's kfrank1 at cps.edu.
All right. Well, again, our guest today is Kelsi Frank. We're going to take another break. I know that's shocking for our regular listeners, but we're coming back with more. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It was totally online, very reasonable, just 20 months. And while he was earning his master's, he also was completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To get more information, just go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to thank our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms, but if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions for digital ticketing, fee-free fundraising, and athletic websites. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or a school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for schools to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. You can learn more at hometownticketing.com. That's hometownticketing.com.
All right, Jake, I want to start out with promoting, not in promoting, just giving a shout out to my Sin Bulldogs here. Recently, they just got done with city wrestling, conference swimming, and conference wrestling tournaments. Our boys wrestling won conference, as you see my lovely trophy back here, for this Chicago Public League, and then our boys swimming won conference as well, just this past weekend. So I'm very proud of both of them. And then city tournament as well. Wrestling, we had multiple people place. We had second place, three fourth places, two fifth, and a 1-6. So I'm just want to give a shout out to all those boys on the swimming and wrestling team, how well they did, and my go dogs.
Well, again, we know that none of that is possible without great leadership. Leadership from the coaches as well as leadership from the athletic director. So well done. Okay, you're just putting more notches in that administrative
I
leadership
can't do it all by
championship
myself. Those
belt.
coaches when I got here, I felt it. I'm like, man, you guys are great coaches. And actually, my wrestling coach got coach of the year in the conference. So I'll give a shout out to Jacob Godwin for that one. He did a great job this year.
I think I'm gonna have to make a field trip to Chicago and see
You come
your
to Senn.
facility
It's a
there. Okay.
beautiful neighborhood, man. Come definitely.
Okay. We'll talk about that after the show.
Mhm.
Um, Again, for our listeners, Kelsi Frank is our guest. She is currently a registered athletic administrator, already has a wealth of experiences, and she is in the process of earning her CAA. We get a lot of new ADs, young ADs that are like you at the start of their journey. Maybe they haven't even started their NIAAA journey. Share a little bit about how you became aware of the NIAAA Leadership Training Program, and how your experience has been so far.
I reached out when I got my first position as athletic director out um, 2 years ago out the southwest suburb. Actually, hold on, pause. I paused on that. When I got my master's at Michigan State University, they inquired me about the NIAAA. There we go. And then they told me about doing this, and then I got my first position at that elementary school and middle school area, and I said, "Hey, can I go to this conference because it looks really awesome? I need to go. Be great." My first conference was in Nashville, that for a couple of years ago. It was a great time, and that's when I realized, oh, I can take these courses and learn about these different ways to become a better, athletic director, administrator in position, and earn certifications nationally. And I thought that would be an amazing opportunity to have on my resume and future endeavors, becoming a high school athletic director and maybe even post-secondary later on down the road. And so immediately I said, let's take these courses at these this conference. So I did the first two, so 501 and 502. It was great. And then I finished up in Orlando the following year, my next course. It was a great time down in Orlando. And then I finally got the paperwork done. It took me forever to get the paperwork done. So I'm actually got the certificate coming in the mail this week for my RAA, officially RAA. And so that's where I got from. And then I'm going to take courses when it comes to Tampa as well, coming up following year. But I've also been taking side different courses as well and lectures from the NIAAA and the Illinois Athletic Director Association programming to become educating myself and my assistant athletic director to help him as well become better student athletic directors for these coaches and students.
Boy, that is so cool to hear. Now, I've got to ask about the courses as you're
Mhm.
taking, not so much the legal courses because you're just getting
Oh,
into that,
yeah.
but
Mhm.
as you're taking those courses, usually it's equal parts. Boy, this is really cool information, and the other is, wow, I'm really in trouble. I'm not doing this. I need to start doing this at
Yes.
my school. What are
Yes.
some of your recollections from those 502s, 503s?
Making sure I had set get guidelines and call it like in place. I had that before my master's program, but like the severity of it and making sure that it was all there and we had everything in place with the legal stand, not just legal standpoint, but like the documentation we needed to have, or having these requirements for my coaches to make sure they're fully qualified to have these uh, capabilities to be able to coach. Having more education for my coaches, and then realizing that I need to take the step further to make sure my coaches are more than qualified. Giving certification, taking courses where I can ask others for help to help my coaches. So understanding that bringing those in and not realizing, oh, it's just more than just being somebody who shows up to games and cheers on the athletics, like as people think we just sit there all day and just watch
Yep,
sports all day with my
yep.
screen on. Actually, I don't. I do paperwork all day to make sure this school functions, and I put out fires to make sure that game goes smoothly and these coaches have a smooth turnover. We're the
Yeah, we
fire
know
out.
we just show up and the game magically happens.
And magically happens. You're
The
right.
teams,
So
the referees, the
yes.
concessions, everything.
And I realized how many fires since I got here, like you put out daily and don't, and people don't realize it. And then it goes so smooth sailing. So I realized like I'm the fire putter outer every single day.
Hmm.
And these kids are like, oh, the game's fine. I'm like, yep, great job, kids. You got it. What'd you do all day, Miss Frank? I'm like, oh, in my office cleaning all day, then I come watch you play.
Yeah.
They have no idea how much dedication we put behind the scenes to make sure that one game goes smoothly for them.
No. But
So
and again, when that game goes off and it's a great experience for everybody,
that's the best part of
we
my
can
day.
we can sit back and we can say, hey, that's why we do it. That
This
feeling
is why
when
I
it
do
all
it.
comes
Yep.
together. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. For this next little segment, I lied. I said I wasn't going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot, but I think you can handle it. Um,
Yes.
you and I were talking before, and I've already shared with our listeners. Kelsi, she has her RAA, which requires, doesn't have an experience requirement like the CAA does. You have to have 2 years
Mhm.
as doing athletic administrator things, either assistant AD or as an athletic director. You also have to do the coursework. So Kelsey's got her RAA. She's done the 3 courses.
Mhm.
By the time we see each other again, I think at Tampa, unless I drive up to see you in Chicago,
Oh, yes.
she should have her CAA.
Yes.
But part of the CAA requirement is the 2 years, the coursework, and you
Hmm.
have to have earned a certain number of points on what the NIAAA calls the personal data form. And there's a variety of ways that you can earn those points. And I'm going to get to my point here in a second. Every single state has a certification coordinator. Florida does. I was their certification coordinator for years before I retired. Illinois has one. Your state, if you're listening, you have a certification coordinator, and they can answer these types of questions. But here's where I'm going to put Kelsi on the spot. Um, as you have been checking the boxes, if you will, on your personal data form, what are some of the areas that you have been able to put down? Hey, I've got experience in this, or I've accomplished this. And then I'm going to see if I can help you and some of our listeners with their
Yeah.
PDFs as it comes into play. So, can you go
Yeah.
down from memory some of those different
Oh my
categories
gosh, you
where
have to
you
give a
earn
moment to pull it
points?
up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, obviously all the courses, the courses count as some points as well. But I've actually had there's one section I know it's community building or reach outreach. I had actually my first week here, I got a call from a TV station. They said, "Hey, we would like to put your athletes on the TV, and do you want to do it?" I'm like, sure, let me call my boss real quick to make sure we can have people. And we ended up doing a toy for tots and promoting the Senn department, athletic department, and that could add as well as community building. Doing fundraising for my school as well. I think that's gonna be part of it as well, fundraising and different programming, and also outreach with the elementary schools and stuff like that. But I need a little bit. I have more of my, CPR training, the AED training. I know, isn't that like a section as well? Jake? Yes, yes.
different
Okay, so
certifications. Yes.
yeah, certification. Yes, all my certifications, another section. But I'm really honing in on the community building and outreach and professional development, working with like yourself, Jake, and other people in this community, the athletic department and athletic administration, to make sure I hit those hours. Right now, currently close to 51 hours. So I'm almost there. I have another few more hours to go. But yeah, I need to definitely, I think my big box is that community building hours.
Right. And again, there's a number of different categories, and it's not hard to earn them if you are serving as an athletic director or assistant AD. It's part of the
Mhm.
job. Here's some areas where ADs sometimes forget about all the different things they do. Um, one of the categories is publications. Have you written something that's been published? Have you been on a radio show? Have you been on a podcast? Okay. You know,
Podcast.
okay. Those all count for points. Also, if you do any sort of monthly newsletter for your coaches or for
Mhm.
your boosters or for your parents, whether it's written, old school, typed out, or if it's online on your website, those are publications. Putting together a program for an awards banquet or just an awards show, those are publications. Hosting different events, speaking to your faculty, speaking to your boosters, speaking to
Oh,
the
I just did one. I spoke to the honor roll athletic department. Like I spoke to honor rolls and all the whole school that
okay,
other day. Actually, they asked me to have a good speech about why is education so important for college level kids. And then I had a whole speech about that. Like I
you
just
just you
realized, like,
just you
no,
just checked three more boxes right
I
there. You're
did. I was
good.
like, what in the world? That counts.
So my point is, as you're looking at that PDF, when it's time for you to do your CAA and then again your CMAA, think about the different things that you do as an athletic director from a organizational standpoint, hosting a district tournament, hosting a holiday tournament in various sports. That will get you points. Um, Leadership positions. Are you the president of your conference, the secretary for the coaches association? Those are all ways that you can earn additional points. Reach out to your state certification coordinator. And if for whatever reason you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me. I was on the National Certification Committee for many years. I still do that. I help people find the points that they've maybe forgotten about. So,
I love it. The point
gonna look.
finder, the guy to go to, the
Okay.
guy to go.
Well, Kelsi, this has just been so cool. Finally, getting to know you, spend some time
Yes.
with you. But we're not done yet. We always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox. Now, you've certainly established you know your way around the world of athletics, but we're going to take our final break here from Athletic Surveys, who sponsored this segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's
Okay.
hear from Athletic Surveys. And when we come back, we're going to see what Kelsi Frank puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We'd like to say thank you to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack for their support and their sponsorship of the AD Toolbox. In my school, we use surveys for everything, for kids, for coaches, for parents. And here's the cool part. Um, the information that would come back was almost always over the top positive. But the survey also allowed us to hear from those squeaky wheel parents that usually wanted to complain about something. We could address their concern, which was usually small, and keep it from turning into a big concern. But again, getting back to that positive feedback. Having that data, that 98% support, was incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent or maybe your principal or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Make sure you mention the podcast, athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting today with Kelsi Frank, the athletic director at Senn High School in Chicago. Has a tremendous background in athletics, but right now I'm going to task her with sending out a brand new AD on their first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 items in the toolbox. So, Kelsi, what 3 things are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Well, these three items actually are more personal to myself and what I experience and what I've learned as an athletic director, being a young, almost 34-year-old woman in athletic programming. I've learned in my past now coming up 3.5, 4 years of being an athletic director and in athletics over 10 plus years in administration position is that one, don't take things personal. I know sometimes coaches, I know people will come to you about certain things and say you're doing something a certain way, but you can't take things personal, and especially in athletics. And being an athlete myself, you get heat in the moment, things happen, comes up, and you take it personal. In this industry, you can't take things personal and understand emotions get high. So understanding yourself, understand where the other people are coming from, and take that with a grain of salt and move forward. My second one is don't be worried about being vulnerable or opening up to others. Being an athletic director, a brand new athletic director, I was first nervous asking people for help. Then I realized I need to ask for help when I need to have someone to come guide me in this position, understanding my school, the administration of the school. And don't be worried that somebody making you feel like asking for help is incompetence. It's not, it's growth. So being vulnerable to yourself and understanding that you know you need help, it's okay. And lastly, promote success. As I stated before, athletics are the doorstep to your school. Promote that success, not just from the court, but also in the classroom. I have a handful of my student athletes are in honor roll and high honor roll and the principal honor roll. So promoting those, not just like I said on the court, but in the classroom and around in the community, that will bring more people to your school and understand how wonderful your school is. So those are my three.
Well, you probably you saw me scribbling them down. I, I love them all, and I love that phrase "promote success." The your one about don't be afraid to ask for help. That was one of my I think failures early on. I didn't want to appear like I didn't
Mhm.
know what I was doing. I didn't want people to think I was a dope, and I was a dope because I didn't ask for that help. When I finally, realized and started asking, questions, hey, how did you do that? Or just adding to our network, that's when we really begin to grow. So again, another example, you've done about 5 of them so far today of
Thank you.
lessons learned at an early time in your career. Great stuff.
Thank
Kelsi,
you.
again, so cool to have you on. We're definitely going to bring you back on the podcast.
I would
One
love it.
more,
Cannot wait.
one more time. If one of our listeners wants to reach out and add you to their network, what's the best way that they can do that?
My network, once again, my email is kfrank1 at cps.edu. That is kfrnk1 at cps.edu.
Well, Kelsi, again, thanks for sharing. All the best moving forward, and
Thank you so much.
we're going to look forward to seeing you. Worst case, in Tampa
Worst
for
case
that
scenario, you can have me on
NAD. Yeah.
again. I promise you it'll be great. It's a great time with me. I promise.
Well, for listeners, we hope that you did have a great time. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So we hope you come back and join us on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast.
Bye.